On January 29th, 2021, the Digimon card game was released to the Western audience, featuring the special booster set 1.0 and 1.5, which cover the first 3 sets of the game. Within these sets came 4 Digimon from the original anime, where they were featured as sort of a Megazoo deck, where you just slam a level 6 on the board. One of them is known as Gigaseadramon, a blue level 6 Digimon with an on-play, return up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon, level 4 or lower, to their hand. And, your turn, this Digimon can be blocked by your opponent's Digimon with no evolution cards. At the time, this was fairly used card, especially for a time when archetypes weren't really a thing. Fast forward to EX03 Draconic War, where the Aqua archetype was introduced, where you could climb into Gigaseadramon in order to play your Digimon from your sources, in order to swarm the board, as well as use the new Gigaseadramon and prior Seadramon cards before. However, there weren't enough cards at the time to make a cohesive deck, and not enough Seadramons to make a pure deck. As well as you use Plesiomon over Gigaseadramon as the second main boss. Fast forward again to BT15 Gigaseadramon, who was given a Dark Master trait, which was a playstyle similar to the original Megazoo deck back in the beginning, now with a more consistent strategy to bring out the Megas to make a Pokemon. Then we'll get the Deep Savers deck. In EX08, Gigaseadramon finally get a good card in the form of an ace who reads, on play / when Digivolving, de-Digiball one of your opponent's Digimon, then return one of your opponent's Digimon with a play cost 7 or less to the bottom deck. All turns, while you have 1 or more memory, none of your opponent's Digimon can suspend. This is a fantastic card to splash into any blue and black deck. However, despite these changes and constant support for the Seadramon name, there was never a proper Seadramon tribal deck, as either was not enough of the tribal cards to make the deck work without outside help, or the lack of a Gigaseadramon that isn't just a side boss or 2 in archetype focus. This kind of left Gigaseadramon only to just be a mid-boss for most decks, and it kind of sucks seeing that there are enough Seadramon cards that can work together, all while under the Aqua trait. Well, that will change on February 28, 2025, when Special Booster version 2.5 released and came with a whole X line of the Seadramon name. Finally, Seadramon enthusiasts can finally have a true tribal deck, all while using the Aqua trait cards to support them. The line starts with Crabmon X, who evolves 0 on a blue level 2, or an alt evo on Crabmon for 0, with the effect, on play when Digivolving, one of your Digimon can't be deleted in battle until the end of your opponent's turn. Inheritable when attacking once per turn. If you have 7 or fewer cards in hand, draw 1. Honestly, fairly good. It gives battle protection and gives a decent way to draw cards, especially if you're low on them. However, the issue really comes down to the lack of Crabmon to choose for the deck, as the only one is the Deep Savers Crabmon that gives on-play blocker and inherit jamming, as the others don't really work well for this deck. Moving on to level 4 is Seadramon X, who holds the same inheritance as Crabmon X. The card can evo for 2 for any blue level 3 or 0 on top of Seadramon. With effects, on play when Digivolving, return one of your opponent's level 3 Digimon to the bottom deck. Then, if Seadramon or X Antibody is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, one of your opponent's Tamers can't suspend until the end of their turn. Now this is a great effect as a level 4 Digimon. It's easy to prop in the tribal deck, and you remove a body. Sure, if you don't have the extra cards to stun a Tamer, that kinda sucks, but bouncing level 3 can still help, especially if you fight a deck that uses Agumons or Gabumons right now, thanks to their level 7 aces, and of course, Floodgates. And the inheritance can stack with the prior level 3, letting you get more cards much faster, especially if you have a jamming from either Crabmon or Seadramon, so you can get an easy draw while on a level 4. Moving on to level 5 brings Gigaseadramon X, who can Digivolve for 3 on a blue level 4 or 0 on a Gigaseadramon. His effect reads, on play when Digivolving, return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to the bottom of the deck. Then, if Gigaseadramon or X Antibody is in its evolution cards, one of your opponent's Digimon can't suspend until the end of their turn. Very similar to Seadramon X, but now bottom decking a level 4 and stunning a Digimon. So yeah, that's pretty good, especially when fighting a deck that's super aggro or block a lot. So yeah, pretty good card. Stun a body, bounce a body, what more do you want? Oh wait, there's something on the bottom there. Says, your turn, this Digimon attack can't change. Okay, that's a great inheritance. For this deck, seeing as it wants to be an aggro jamming deck early game, the fact you can't target change is great. Especially since there are other cards that can change the target of an attack now outside of blocking. So far, the X line seems really promising, and glad that they work really well on the main cards you would like to X-Evo on top of. Well, most of them, I'll talk about you later. But notice that they all have an on-play effect with their when digivolving. Well, that's because the big boss actually solves the mystery of introducing Metal Seadra or Gigaseadramon. Well, I guess someone wanted to be special. Gigaseadramon here can evolve on 2 for Metal Seadramon and has Secure Tech +1, Blocker, and Reboot. Man over here is a keyword library. And he also costs 5 memory to digivolve on top of a level 5 blue or black Digimon. Alright, pretty pricey. His effect reads, when digivolving, when attacking, once per turn. For the Digivolution cards of this Digimon with Metal Seadramon or X Antibon in its Digivolution cards, you may play 1 level 5 or lower Digimon card without paying the cost. All turns, once per turn, when any of your Digimon are played from evolution cards, de-Digivolve to one of your opponent's Digimon. While holding the Aquatic Drake like Metal Sea Ace, now that we have an X lineup here, we have an idea what the deck wants to achieve by making a powerful stack with battle protection in order to stun both Digimon Tamers for an attack for 2 checks, unblockable, all while spitting out a body from sources for de-Digivolving and bouncing potential targets. If we add the original line with the X line, we'll get jamming, maybe rush, and the ability to unsuspend while sliding the body back underneath. So overall, the line seems pretty reasonable at first sight. But after testing the deck with 3 different builds of Gigaseadramon, some very noticeable problems arose. And yeah, these problems really hurt the deck badly. Side note, this is me making the script, and I tested it with 2 more decks, which I would say is more true to the versions I wanted to build originally. And these don't change too much, but I figured I would show these as well. They had similar results, but at least tweaking a little bit to help the problems. The decks I made to test the Gigaseadra was the deck that Bandai intended, some of the Aqua support mixed in, a Deep Savers deck with another small Aqua support, and this can really be a placeholder of a Giga Seed deck with the whole Aqua support as well as real life testing and performing around the same level as the Deep Savers version, if not a bit better. And yeah, here's another list that focuses more on Aqua and Gigaseadra instead of Deep Savers. Finally, we got a black build that I made dubbed Metal Empire that focused more black aspects of Giga Seed along with the Cyborg support that came in the set. As well, here's another list that I made that's more focused on Giga Seed and Metal Seed. So yeah, just here to help out. After some testing with each of these decks, there were multiple flaws that came in that hurts the decks, preventing it from any competitive edge. Going by individual decks, first we start with pure Giga Seed. Consistency-wise is due to not having a proper Crabmon searcher for the actual archetype and instead of Sangomon. However, Sangomon is a much better searcher for the deck and has stayed in the other deck lists over Crabmon and Crabmon X, so that's more of a pure line problem. Inherit-wise, there's 2 main cards with jamming that can easily be stacked on one another with only X lineup having a proper effect that can be stacked onto each of the more drawing power, albeit if you have 7 or less cards if you run Sangomon as well as Men Boost and Trainings. It's unlikely to resolve as you'll probably have too many cards. Finally, aside from Giga Seed, there is no other way to play additional sources, making it harder to use Seadra and Mega Seadra X's effects to bounce other than bodies, without going to climb all the way to Giga Seed and possibly passing 5 memory as you'll most likely swing with the X antibody. The second can be both DS and Aqua support as they eventually have the same playstyle and issues. Not as many specific problems, but it really narrows down to if you want to play Giga Seed with these 2 decks, it can easily color on top of one another as the X line isn't good at mixing with Shellmon and possibly Doppelmon can't get in the way. Finally, on Metal Empire, where the only aspects that can call itself a Seadramon deck is just having Metal Sea and Giga Seed in the deck, but it's more in line as a toolbox deck for Machine and Cyborgs. Due to the nature of this deck, it requires Seadramon Ace as one of its main level 5s, possibly to be shot out of the sources by Gigaseadra's effect, but still has a lingering problem of overflow as Metal Sea will be right below it, especially without X Antibody. Before, I would use the X Antibody to swing with the level 5 and Digivolve straight into Giga Seed for the full 5. However, in this deck, there's no room as Giga Seed was reduced to 1 in order to utilize the deck as its full power as a toolbox engine. And here's the other deck that actually did do it, and that issue is getting the X Antibody in your hand and then do the full combo with swinging with it. That was the issue for that deck. However, it kept a lot of the toolbox playstyle that works with the black version, all while cutting out the whole mega level cyborg machine plays. If it wasn't for dedication to make Giga work, he would have been replaced a long time ago. Each individual only had minor problems, but can be fixed with enough deck building However, all decks had similar problems that plague in every playstyle. That was just in the core of Gigaseadramon's deck style. These are the problems that plague Giga throughout the test of all 3 builds, 5 in total now, that no matter how much I change it, they always held Gigaseadra back. Usually you want a proper level 6 to X-Evolve onto, as despite it's possible and anticipated to evolve Metal Sea Ace into Gigaseadra, occasionally it's never a good idea to keep an Ace on board for too long, especially one without protection from effects. Usually most X Digimon would at least have one non-Ace and maybe an Ace as a secondary option so it can stay in the archetype while having the option to at least use the Ace. But Gigaseadra's case has only one good option as the form of the Ace, as the others are either complete garbage or unable to evolve into anything aside from white Digimon. Yeah, really hating you over there. Outside de-digivolving, there isn't really a proper way to remove targets outside of the Seadra X and Mega Seadra X that can get in the way, as currently it is possible to just have a level 5 or 6 on board with no sources due to the current ways of cheating out a body, leaving no way Giga to clear a board and possible de-digivolve protection. To make up for this, I tried to run X Antibody as an option, to swing an EVA onto Giga so you may get all the effects popped off while having 2 checks on board with Reboot next turn with Blocker. However, doing this costs 5 memory, and using Protoform only reduces by 1 and still paying a hefty price, and usually it tends to end the turn before you can get a proper check-in. Not to mention, again, that aside from battle protection, Gigaseadra has no real protection from the effects, letting it easily die by aces or option cards. And this doesn't help that since we only have an Ace Mega to X-Evolve onto, you'll usually pop Overflow. Finally, Gigaseadra has no real presence on the board after evolving, despite he has an alternate effect. There is currently no proper way for the deck to play out in body during your opponent's turn to prompt it, leaving it just being a blocker and hope it can live till next turn. Then you can actually do more plays when attacking. It really sucks, as I and possibly many other fans of the Seadra line have been waiting for Gigaseadra to come out, and the support it has is actually really good, but it currently just doesn't fit in the competition with decks that can swarm faster than it and have way more protection against other decks. It feels like it was supposed to come out back when the original X set came out, but now it's just like a capsule through time in this new era. However, I still see hope in this deck, and it is pointing to the right direction, as if the deck gets a new line with a possible better rookie over Crapmon and a proper Metal Seadramon that isn't an Ace, so Overflow isn't a constant problem all the time. The rookie aspect is just a personal thing, as you can easily replace Crabmon for Sangomons from EX8 and BT21, as they perfectly fit the role as a proper rookie for the deck. Personally, I would prefer Betamon, as I've grown to like this little frog, and the one back in BT15 not only fits the playstyle better than Crabmon, but Betamon X has already been teased to us through Seadramon X's artwork, and hopefully that he becomes a real card that can actually help the deck, even more especially if you want to play as a tribal deck. I would think he would be a rookie that can either give an extra protection layer, maybe by effects, bouncing effects, or maybe on the same drawing potential like Crabmon. But anyways, I would still think Beta X will probably be better, especially if you team up with the Betamon that came from BT15, who can basically stun the body. As for proper Metal Seadramon, I would say it should get a similar treatment like Lord Nightmon Dynasmon as a cost-free Evo, but can spit out a body early game, so you would have the proper memory to go into Gigaseadramon and swing for all of his benefits. And personally, as my own opinion, I think this Metal Seadramon should also be a blue and black, or at least have the ability to gain Piercing Collision for the turn. That way you can Evo for Gigaseadramon and prompt its effects to de-Digivolve while setting up a potential collision for 2 damage, and Reboot with Blocker to top it off, or play Mega Seadramon or its X counterpart to set a potential Ace, so you have a better interaction with your opponent's turn. I don't think Gigaseadramon needs a lot of protection, but can at least use a lot more aggression to help control the board state rather than just sit there and look pretty. If he needs protection, I would say the Metal Seadramon non-Ace should give it some at least non-bouncing ability. Make no mistake, despite its flaws and lack of competitive presence, Gigaseadramon and his line are still really good cards. They just need the right support to finally come in, as I feel like Bandai is prepping for another set, which I cannot say what. Possibly in the villain set right after Cyber Eden, but don't quote me on that. I'm only saying that because Apocalypse was confirming it, but but they might do us dirty again using another shitty Metal Seadramon again, specifically for the archetype. Overall, I would say the deck's power is inconsistent and very underwhelming, as in the Deep Savers and Metal Empire builds, I only used it once each, and honestly it barely made a difference. Sure, it might have got rid of a body, but my opponent always had the ability to bounce back and get rid of Gigaseadramon. If you want to build a deck, now it's super cheap with Gigaseadramon only being 25 cents as of making this video, and possibly being more of a hybrid with Aqua Liberator and the X-Line is probably the best version of the deck you can make of as of now. And who knows, maybe one day it'll pop up and outperform its current staying in the meta. As the seeds are planted, it's just playing the waiting game as of this time. Well, until then, see ya!